The creators of the vault had such unwavering confidence in its security that they didn't even bother fitting it with an alarm system. This was because the vault had gained a reputation as being impenetrable. But that belief crumbled when a group of criminals executed a sophisticated heist, evading all detection for an astonishing 27 hours, all while hiding inside the vault. Welcome once more to the Unsolved Path. Viewers, what exactly was this brilliant scheme, and what makes it stand out as the greatest bank theft in recorded history? Before diving into the details, let's travel back to July 19th, 1976. It was a Monday morning, and employees had started arriving at the Societe Generale Bank, located in the city of Nice, France. At the time, this bank was hailed as the most secure financial institution globally, with a vault believed to be the strongest ever constructed. According to their usual routine, the staff moved to unlock the vault. The vault had a massive door equipped with a complex locking mechanism. When they keyed in the combination, the door failed to open. It's worth noting that this wasn't the first time the vault door had malfunctioned. Weighing around 20 tons, it occasionally jammed due to its enormous size. Assuming it was just another routine snag, the bank employees contacted the manufacturer of the vault. Roughly 30 minutes later, specialists from the company arrived and began working on opening the vault. But to everyone's surprise, even the experts couldn't unlock it. Despite several attempts, the vault door remained firmly shut. At this point, the situation was becoming urgent. Customers had started to queue up, and the reputation of the bank was on the line. After 3 long hours of failed efforts, a decision was made to drill a small opening into the wall of the vault to identify why the door wouldn't budge. They found no signs of tampering on the door itself, nor were there any indications of forced access on the walls surrounding it. Using a high-powered drill, they bored a hole into the vault wall. And what they saw inside was nothing short of shocking. Someone had sealed the door shut from the inside using welding equipment. This discovery defied logic, as the vault had only one entry point. There were no windows or lighting fixtures inside, which meant gaining access from within should have been physically impossible. At this point, it became clear that something highly unusual had occurred. Heavy equipment was brought in, and efforts began to breach the wall completely to enter the vault. This process wasn't quick. The vault's construction included thick, reinforced concrete and embedded steel rods, making penetration extremely difficult. But after hours of intense labor, a person-sized opening was finally created, and what they saw when they looked inside left them utterly stunned. The vault of the bank had been completely ransacked. Several of the safety deposit boxes were found damaged, while many others had simply been left ajar. But what truly caught everyone's attention were the striking words that had been spray painted onto the vault wall. Translated into English, the message read, "Without weapons, without hatred, and without violence." Just as the bank employees were beginning to collect themselves after the shock, they stumbled upon yet another stunning revelation. A tunnel had been excavated beneath the very floor of the vault. From here, it was now the responsibility of the police, who had arrived at the scene by this point. The thieves had opened 400 out of the 4,000 individual deposit lockers, making away with a vast amount of valuables, cash, gold bars, and other precious items before vanishing. The tunnel that had been carved led straight into the city's most expansive underground sewage network. Inside that sewer system, investigators uncovered substantial evidence: a cache of tools, along with 27 gas cylinders, which had apparently been used to power the welding equipment. But that wasn't all. They also found breathing apparatus to circulate fresh air inside the tunnels, and nearly 1 kilometer of electrical wiring. The total value of the loot was in excess of $20 million at the time. In today's terms, that sum would exceed $110 million, or nearly 900 crore rupees. This wasn't just the largest bank robbery of the century. It also turned into the most extensive criminal investigation in French history. News of the heist quickly spread across the globe. The bank's prestige took a massive hit, but the event also brought great embarrassment to the French police. In the months that followed, law enforcement worked tirelessly, conducting raids, questioning suspects in the surrounding area, and interrogating the bank's staff. Yet, no clue to the identity or whereabouts of the culprits emerged. Then, in October 1976, 3 months later, a breakthrough finally came. One member of the robbery team was apprehended, thanks to a tip from his own girlfriend. At first, the suspect refused to admit any role in the crime, but under continued pressure from the police, he eventually cracked and named every individual involved in the heist. To the astonishment of the investigators, the group in question had previously only been known for committing minor crimes, petty thefts, and low-level offenses. The idea that they had orchestrated such an enormous operation was difficult for the authorities to believe. As it turned out, someone else had been the brains behind the whole scheme. While being interrogated, the group members identified a man whom they claimed was the mastermind. His name was Albert Spaggiari, and surprisingly, he was known in public simply as a photographer. When the police went to arrest him, his appearance was anything but suspicious. He dressed plainly, lived modestly, and resided in an ordinary home on the outskirts of the city. When the police questioned those who lived nearby, everyone described Albert as nothing more than a humble photographer. Albert Spaggiari was the kind of person who kept to himself and never caused any trouble. But the image the police had of him was far from the reality. The moment he was brought in, he openly admitted that he had masterminded the entire bank robbery. For the police, it seemed like the case had been wrapped up, but in truth, it was just the beginning. Albert explained that he had previously rented a safety deposit box in that very bank. Under the pretense of visiting his locker, he would discreetly take photographs of the vault and its surroundings. At one point, he placed an alarm clock inside his locker, setting it to ring during the night. When the alarm went off and nobody came, nor did any security siren go off, he realized that there was no surveillance or alarm system in place inside the vault. Next, posing as a city engineer, he visited the municipal office and obtained a detailed map of the city's infrastructure. He used this map to locate the sewer system and measured the distance between it and the bank's vault. Albert calculated that by digging a 26-foot tunnel from the closest sewer line, he could directly access the vault. However, the scale of the operation required manpower. So, he reached out to a local gangster and shared the entire plan. That gangster then assigned a group of his men to begin work on the tunnel. The digging, done entirely without the help of heavy machinery, took roughly 2 months. It had to be carried out only during nighttime hours to avoid detection, as the bank would be empty then. Throughout this time, Albert took great care to ensure that not a single sound reached the surface above the sewer lines. Finally, on the night of July 18th, the Saturday going into Sunday, the team successfully entered the vault. For the next 27 hours, they remained inside, conducting the robbery in total calm. They even had meals, lunch and dinner, while inside. Before leaving, they spray painted the now infamous phrase on the wall. When Albert was brought before the court, he openly confessed his role to the judge. During questioning, he had also recorded all the details of his plan, including the total value of the stolen goods, using coded language written on a piece of paper. He declared that he would only hand this document to the judge, and that only the judge would be able to interpret the code. To proceed with this, the judge called Albert into his private chamber. Albert handed over a sheet of paper that contained a city map. Just as the judge began examining it, Albert suddenly leapt out of the first-floor window. A car had been parked directly below the window. He landed on its roof, quickly regained his footing, and immediately jumped onto a motorcycle that was already waiting for him. Despite the authorities' tireless attempts to recapture him, Albert managed to stay on the run. Years later, he appeared in a televised interview aired in Italy. During the show, he revealed that he had been fascinated by treasures since he was 12 years old, and that this fascination had driven him to pull off the heist. It was as though he was deliberately mocking the French police during the interview. Where he disappeared to after that day remains a mystery. Albert Spaggiari passed away in 1989. According to his mother, his body was left outside her home. We hope you enjoyed this video from our channel. Thank you for your encouraging comments. We'll see you next time with another fascinating story.